my Samuel Hill voice was in your wallet. I got that fire. I got that fire. I got that fire. Fire. I got that fire.
1 2 1 2. Mic check. 1 2 1 2. Throw your hands in the air and party like you just don't care. In the spirit of hip hop, welcome to the show. It's the Big Black Sports Show on a Tuesday night. It's your man, 50 Grand, Kevin Barnes, the man in black. Mama, there go that man again, repping Outlaw Radio. The militant with a microphone, the mouthpiece of the movement, aka the Negro Whisperer. And I'm in here with my partner. Well, I'll let him tell you who he is. What's going on, my brother?
Hey, how's it going, man? Coach Tank in the house. Want to give a shout out to everybody tuning in tonight. And man, hey, as usual, ready to chop it up and talk sports, bro.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. If you are tuning in and you say, well, normally I see Kev, I see him doing Outlaw Radio. Now I do Outlaw Nation as well. But like I say, I think it's important that we build our own. So when we talk about sports, which we love to do as black men, brothers, we love to talk about sports. So why are we watching everybody else's sports shows instead of doing our own? It's one of those things where I say when it comes to black men, people are always talking about us, but never talking to us. And since most of the interesting stories in sports revolve in some way around a person of color, why not do our own sports show, the Big Black Sports Show? Now, I'll be on tomorrow night with another edition of Outlaw Radio, and then I'll do, like I said, I'll do Outlaw Nation on a Thursday night. But this is what we're going to do tonight. I see Brother Che. He's up. Paris LaShawn up early in the chat room. Shout out to he and Shabaka St. Corey from Shaka's Black Experience Enhanced. Shout out to you if you're tuning into the show. Share the show. What's going on, Coach? How you doing today, man? You feel all right? We had we had some snow and some ice, and then it warmed up a little bit. How you dealing with this weather?
I'm doing fine, man. I'm doing fine. I'm actually enjoying it. 45 degrees today. Hey, what can you say? March 1st, it could be a little better, but
right.
Hey, I'll take it.
Right. And yeah, I always tell people this is the springtime in the Midwest. You know what you're gonna get, right?
Right.
Like a mother. It's Wisconsin, bro. So I hope, and some people may be tuning in and they're not in Wisconsin, but from where we're at, you're used to this time of the year, man, colder than a polar bear's toenail, as they say.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, man. Now I gotta give it up. I've been saying this every week, every time I've gotten a chance to speak on this. Ja Morant right now, doing to the NFL what ain't been done in a very long time. I don't know if y'all paying attention. I think y'all need to pay attention to this youngster, man. This young boy is taking over the NBA, averaging 41 points per game in the last 4 games. I don't know if you saw him last night. Did you see, first of all, the left-hand dunk? And this is the whole game where 52 points he had. Okay. Then there's the left-hand dunk. And then there's this ridiculous shot where his teammate launches the ball the entirety of the court. And this brother just one hands it and it goes in. So Ja Morant, right now, man, the best in the NBA. Is it a stretch? I know Embiid is doing his thing. KD's out. Harden seems like he's doing pretty well with KD. Of course, you always got Giannis. It's a lot of stars in the NBA. But right now, you got to look at Ja and say, man, this dude is doing things that we ain't seen. I'm going to go ahead and step out there and say since Jordan. Since Jordan. I haven't seen anybody light up the league. And it ain't usually you get an individual who's a dunker, just a dunker, or a pure shooter.
Well,
boy can do
I wouldn't say since Jordan because Vince Carter came after Jordan.
He wasn't as complete as Ja. His game was nowhere. He had no jumper.
But the dunks were Ja. Don't get me wrong. I enjoy what Ja did last night. But Vince Carter, man, come on. The resume speaks for itself, man. Ja got some work to do if he's going to be a better dunker than Vince Carter.
But
that being said, though, I think he's the best point guard right now in the league.
Okay.
I'll say that.
Okay. I ain't letting you go though. You said no, you keep saying dunker. I said well, I can't even give Vince just okay, but first of all, Ja has a more well-rounded developed game. But I put his dunk, it's not like this boy is shabby above the rim. Now come on now, you might be holding on to the past a little bit on that one though. I don't know.
Hey, he I still have yet to see him do some of the things that Carter has done. Like Josh still raw now. Don't get me wrong. He's still a beast, but when it comes to dunking on people and not yet, man. He's not Air Canada yet. He's not quite Air Canada yet, bro.
I gotta give you
too soon.
I gotta give it
too
to you.
Soon.
I feel like I feel a lot of heat coming from the end of that couch, right?
Man.
I feel like I'm hating a little bit.
No,
but now, time will tell. Time will tell. Vince Carter played for 1,000,000 years. But his game was never as developed as Ja's is right now. This boy can shoot and he can. Get it to the basket.
The question wasn't who has the more complete game. The question was who at this point is the more exciting player.
Now that I didn't say that.
I thought you said I thought you said he was more exciting. Who's more exciting?
Around, if I would compare, I said he's the best all around. He's the best player in the game today. I said today he's in the best, and so I never said you brought Vinsanity to it, right? Right, half man, half a season.
Oh, I'm thinking in terms of athletic ability and excitement. We were talking about Ja's athletic ability, how he's just dunking on everybody and taking off and doing some crazy shit.
Right.
And I'm like, and even though he's great, it's like still hasn't done some things that Vince did.
Like I said, I think Vince played. This is where we run into these walls with these comparisons. Because we're comparing Vince on a tail end of a 20-some-odd year career with this brother who's just, what is this, year 2 or something like that, year 2 or 3?
Year 3, I think.
Something like that. I know he came out with Zion, and I feel like Zion gets a bad rep because he's been hurt. But when he was playing, he looked phenomenal. He looked like he was going to be the next best thing. Next big thing. That goes to show. I hope youngsters look at this and see when you up and everything is going well, everybody's in your corner. And then now, he can't help it, obviously, if he has injuries, right? Like if he has problem with his ankles. People say, well, he's too fat, he needs to lose weight. Well, there's no guarantee this could be a degenerative or some sort of genetic disorder. You don't know what the issue is with what's wrong with him. But yeah, man, I feel like he gets a bad rep. But Ja, I think right now, like I said, I think he's the most electrifying player in the NBA right now because he can shoot, he can pass, he can go to the basket, he can score, mid-range, long. I just think he's the best player in the NBA right now. That's just I'm impressed.
It's very fun to watch. At this point, I have to agree, though. He is. Who else is doing what he's doing right now?
Well, some people would say, well, Kev, you got Giannis and you got LeBron who are playing. You got like I said, Embiid. You got DeRozan, these are in the NBA. You got Curry, cats who just having crazy seasons, right? Like with stupid dumb numbers. And so you get that in the NBA with players, cats averaging 25, 26 points a game. I think people underestimate how hard that really is to say you average 25 points a game means more often than not, you had more than 25. So,
right.
You'd have to consistently score 30 to average 25, right?
You said John right now is averaging 41 points a game in the 4-game stretch.
In the last 4 games, he's averaging 41 points a game.
At the point guard position, that's crazy.
Right. On a winning team. On a winning. Yeah. So, yeah,
salute.
Man. Ridiculous. That this boy is, oh my goodness. I said it though. I said it early in his career. I I said it. First year, second year, I'm like, that boy right there is nice. And basketball purists, well, okay, if you got to learn how to do this and it. Look, ain't nobody saying nothing right now. Everybody standing around like,
right. He's there now. He's
yeah, he on
he's
some other
there.
shit. He's on some other shit right now. It don't even make sense. It don't even make sense. I want to welcome y'all to the Big Black Sports Show. Hit like, hit share, hit follow, share the show. We don't ask much. Just share the show, chime in. If you got something you'd like to talk about sports wise. We like to talk about sports in the barbershop. Every time brothers get together, they go at it about sports. So we figure why not do it on the People's Network. Paris LaShawn said, who's going to buy the Denver Broncos? I don't know. I was hoping that my man, I see that the brother Byron had put a group together. He wanted to try and buy him. So we'll see. We'll see. Hopefully, Byron Allen was trying to buy. He had a group, and we'll see if he can be the first NFL's black owner, or if this. But we know that the NFL is still a very racist organization, right? Like, so nobody's under the impression that they're gonna let this happen easily. I would hope that whatever Byron's doing, whatever Byron Allen is doing, and whatever group he comes with got their shit together so that they got their numbers and everything crunched so they can walk in there and get this done. I think it's more than past time for us to have a black owner in the NFL. Like, damn, like this is year 100, man. I'm just like, it's time, right? Like the NFL, you had put in, and this is I didn't want to jump ahead and upset the pacing of what we do on the Big Black Sports Show, but you had talked about the NFL Combine, and so that's something that I want to talk about tonight with the NFL Combine, and the way it looks in today's America, right? Like, so, and it's not new. This has been going on for a long time, but I don't think some people know to what degree these players, the degree of scrutiny that they are under. Like, the NFL employs some high-powered ex-federal agents and investigators who go all the way back to your kindergarten teachers and ask them about you and in and out of your family, and you got to take a psych eval and intelligence tests and stuff like that. So I don't know this, and for this to be an organization that doesn't have black owners or seem to put any kind of premium or priority on hiring minorities, it makes it even look more skeptical now. It's like, okay. So I don't know of no other job in this country, even like to be a Green Beret, like to defend the country. I don't know if they put you through what the Combine puts you through. People who've trained for that would probably correct me, but I don't think so. So
it's great physical scrutiny.
Right. And so when you look at that, what do you think about the Combine now? I mean, now as an older, informed brother, what do you think about that?
I mean, it's two ways to look at it. From a football standpoint, when I look at it, I would say that most of the things that go on in the Combine is necessary. But some things are taken a little too far, I would say.
Okay.
At some point, the Combine, like I say, the intense physical scrutiny, where some things, the justification for the measurements of certain things, I just don't get. Like for instance, I think they just stopped talking about using the sizes of players' asses to determine how explosive they are. This was something that was practiced often. During the Combine, they really took that into consideration, how big a player's ass was to determine how explosive they are, and just things like that makes you think of the slave auctions, being on the slave block, being looked at as a piece of meat. It automatically made me think of Colin Kaepernick's biopic or a film that's on Netflix. And I'm like, wow, in a way he does have some, he makes sense.
Right. Well, I mean, for all intents and purposes, the NFL combine is basically a market, a human meat market. I mean, you're looking, because this is big business. These owners of these teams are going to invest millions of dollars into these young men, and basically purchase exclusive rights to their immediate future, right? So you're saying, okay, you 21, 22 years old, for the next 8 to 10 years, you're probably gonna be, hopefully that you'll be a professional athlete, and I'll give you a couple million to basically say you work for me now, and in a sense own you. I mean, there's so many things contractually you can or cannot do. The NFL is crazy with the fines. I see all the time players in the NFL talk about they were fined because, oh, my belt was unbuckled, or I had on the
Right.
wrong socks, or it's and so it's not like, it's not like it's simple. It's this is a tough, strenuous, a tough, strenuous job that's very physically demanding, very mentally demanding, right? And it's high
Right.
stakes, right? So, and there's no guaranteed money, which makes it even crazier, because the people with the most to lose take the biggest losses. The people with the most to lose are the players, right?
Right.
So, because if I go out there and get my goddamn neck broke, shit, it don't matter. It doesn't matter how much they lost last year in in revenue. My shit's broke. I'm never, if I don't die, so
That's
so the
it.
players who risk the most, to me, they reap the least. That's the tragedy of sports in America, in a lot of cases, is that the athletes are the ones who get mistreated the most. And you look at boxing, the boxers end up old and kind of punch drunk, and you look at old hoopers, like they get old and their knees and the backs are bad. The owners are just old and rich still, like it
Right.
ain't like shit, he never had good knees, right? Like he was the owner. So it's sometimes it's sad. I feel like, so what we look at now with Major League Baseball, and people say, well, why would they have a work stoppage, right? Because in our minds, athletes make millions of dollars, they're celebrities. Why don't they just show up and play? Like, but I think it comes down to understanding the contracts, the labor contracts, and who gets what out of the money that's generated. And even though baseball has slipped a long way in terms of being a major sport in America, it's still a big time sport. It's not what it
Right.
once was, but it still generates a fair amount of revenue. So those contracts dictate, who healthcare and insurance and all this kind of stuff. And so they've canceled opening day. I'm not necessarily a big baseball fan, right? But they've canceled it. So what do you think about that?
I think they're losing a lot of money canceling it.
Right.
I think they're going to lose a lot of money canceling it. And shame on baseball. They've been through this before, and they've lost a lot of fans in the past. With their lockouts and their shutdowns and whatnot. So they're taking a big risk by not playing out their season right now. They're taking a big risk because it's shown in the past that, hey, no baseball. Okay, fine. We'll find something else to do then. And then it took a while for them to get their fan base back. So yeah, they need to do something quick.
Baseball is a global sport, so I don't know that they worry about like reclaiming a fan base. I don't know. I'm saying I don't know. That may be the case. I know in the past that they talked about, and I'm thinking you're referencing the strike that they had back in the 90s, in which they came back and then they said it was hard, they weren't getting the fans back, and then
Right.
all of a sudden the live ball era came, where cats went to hitting 190 home runs.
Mm-hmm. And that hurt baseball too.
Okay.
The steroid era hurt baseball too. So yeah, they've been struggling with trying to keep their fan base intact. You want to keep your fan base because you want to keep making money.
Since this is a big black sports show, I'm gonna go out on a limb. I'm gonna say um race relations have hurt baseball more than anything. I feel like a lot of black kids don't play baseball because they can't relate to it, because it's mostly the game of the suburbs. It's mostly the game that little Jimmy and little Timmy learn in the suburbs and in small town America. There's really no premium. Like, if we talk about most urban areas, nobody even cares about their baseball programs. Like, it's like, nobody even pays attention. So I think it has an identity issue with black people, black athletes. The best athletes, you have some who do, because I know it's somebody somewhere like, you crazy, my son is this and that and the third and whatever. I'm saying for the most part, and maybe if your son or daughter does that, they are the exception to the rule, not the norm. But for the most part, our best athletes are going to run track, play football or basketball. And I'm talking about in the black community. So rarely do you see a young brother saying, I play baseball now. I feel like the Dominicans kind of snatched that. And baseball still has a farm system, where you got to go to the minor leagues and play in little butthole America and little sleepy town, and they're still the gatekeepers. They still hold that. Like, if you're a certain type of person or a certain type of kid, you in their hands. You ain't no majors for you, boss. So
Right.
Baseball is. So I guess my point is, we seen that they had a work stoppage, and everybody pretty much in our community is like, and so what? Like, most people in the hood know the jerseys more than they know the teams, because we wear jerseys and shit.
Well, we don't pay attention until the team is winning.
Uh-oh. Right.
A lot of times we don't even pay attention. But see, I think that baseball, when it comes to black people, baseball has become a regional sport. I remember when I was young, when I was living in California, baseball was king. It was baseball, football, and track. Those were the three main sports, and then basketball. But that was back. That was but that was in the 80s. Now
You hella
now
old.
yeah, I'm old. This is so to show you how old I am. Now these kids, but they're not even introduced to baseball or soccer or things like that. They're not even being introduced to those sports. When we were younger, we were introduced to these sports, and a lot of that is because of the rec centers and things like that we have more access to, that these kids don't have access to anymore. And it's sad, man, because that's where a lot of these kids learn about different sports. I think that's what has happened. It's become regional.
Soccer has moved up a notch, um right now, as opposed to where it was when I was growing up, because we very rarely heard anything about soccer, and we looked at that as a white sport as well. Golf, baseball, NASCAR, hockey, these were sports that typically brothers looked at like, oh, that's a white person sport. Like, I'm not, it's like a black man telling me, I'm on a curling team. You on a curling team? What? I'm on a bobsled race. Like, ice skating sports. Like, that's why it's not a whole bunch of black hockey players, because brothers really by and large wasn't jumping on ice skates. Like, I'm gonna go play hockey. So, I'm not saying that's justified. I mean, obviously, what the sport and the race, like, is no, you got to play this because you that race or that this or that. I'm just saying, we traditionally looked at sports in a with a racial lens. Like, so brothers who box, you say, oh, that brother boxes, but when you say that brother play golf, you go, the brother play golf? Like, what? Like, okay, that's So it's anybody who says, well, why would they do a sports show? Because race and sports in America are like just right by each other, and so often they come together and clash. Our favorites is, there's the great white hope theory in boxing. There's, white men can't jump in basketball. There's black men can't play quarterback in football, right? so, so this is why sports is important, man. This is why sports are important. I want to talk about, man, let me make sure because this is the end of Black History Month, right? Like, so
Right.
I don't know if I think we managed to big up black athletes on this show a million times. And I've made the point several times that without the black athlete, American sports would be about as exciting as watching paint dry. And this is why, it's a shame that we still have sports leagues something like the NFL or in the NBA. And the NBA tries its best, but they're not as even as we would think in terms of minority ownership and executiveship. Um, but that's why it's a shame, because without us in esports, what are they, right? Like, so what is the NBA without brothers? What is the NFL without brothers? Like, it's probably like baseball, you know. Probably like baseball. Baseball fans. It's supposed to be a goddamn sports show. He's talking about baseball, man. Um, no, I'm not. I am baseball. And because baseball has had and still has some severe race issues. They all do. They all do.
Right.
Okay. So, you leaving out the NFL? No, I'm not. We go. I'm always calling out the NFL because it's just so ridiculous that you got all these brothers who make your league. I say it. They make your league, and they come up on the short end of the stick like that. That makes no sense. It makes no sense. So, but it's Black History Month, the end of Black History Month. I think I made this point too for people who complain. I don't think you should complain because it's only 1 month or oh, why we gotta have 1 month. I think that Black history is year round. I keep saying this. There's nothing that tells you that you can't study Black history year round. There's just 1 month where they designate to acknowledge it, right? Like,
Right.
so I feel like, if you were passionate about Black History Month or you felt like this is a good thing, then continue it, make designate every day of every month or every occasion of every month where something pivotal for our people happens. It doesn't have to be 1 month. You know what I mean? That's why I always say, all you got is you, but all we got is us. So if we don't demand it and say, no, Black history is American history, and we're gonna study it all year and we're gonna celebrate it in February, that's fine for me. Like I said, I think we acknowledged a lot of great Black athletes. And I think that there's more to come, but there's some work to be done. So that's just kind of where I sit on Black History Month. And I'm not one of those people who say, why it's the shortest month of the year and all that shit. No, because like I said, I think it's important all year round to remember certain things, that milestones
Right.
and things about us. So what's your Black history? What did you come out of Black history in 2022 with?
Well, not much, and I'm a little disappointed with that. I was hoping to see a lot more in social media as it turns to people enlightening each other with knowledge. I wanted to learn more things. Besides doing my own research, I want to see what other people are are are, are researching and learning out here. I didn't see a lot of fact sharing though. Um, but other than that, though, besides doing, like I said, doing my own research, digging up some things that I didn't know, as far as some of our sports heroes and our sports history icons, like Fritz Pollard. I didn't know that he was the first Black player and the first Black coach to ever play professional football. That his story was kind of crazy to me. Certain things like that. But yeah, I'm just like you said. I agree. It's a year round thing. It's not even a year round thing. It's a daily thing to just seek out and learn things about our culture and our history that that'll strengthen us going forward.
That's right. That's right. I don't think we should wait on people to tell us who we are. I think we need to be more aggressive in finding out and discovering and spreading who we are amongst each other. So, but I'm one of those people who says do for self. So, happy Black History Month to you and yours. And if you're listening out there, I hope maybe you and your children or somebody who maybe you don't even know maybe got a chance to have a conversation about some in regards to my people, and you were enlightened. Like my brother said, I see you said you weren't. I seen people just sharing tidbits all over the place,
Now
and
that's cool. Now that's cool. Now that's
I
cool.
ignore most of it because most of it's stuff I know. So it's just kind of like,
Mm.
okay, I don't need to know that shit. But
Yeah, and I just like seeing the effort. That's all I wanted to see. Just the effort of people sharing with each other and acknowledging the month for what it is.
right,
But
yeah, yeah,
unfortunately, I didn't see it, but I wasn't looking in the right places. Obviously, so like I said, if you saw it, that's great though.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, well, you're the
Yep.
kids give the kids with the Black History programs, and they always got the little kids dressed up to do the "I Have a Dream" speech. Which I've my issue in the past has always been that you don't get into how diverse Black history actually is, because it's way more.
Right.
You could scratch the surface, but it's so much deeper than just "I have a dream."
Yes.
And that's just one perspective. Like, if you a lot of times when you get the whitewash, watered down version of Black history, you think that we were just a bunch of really passive people who just were so beaten down and downtrodden that we needed so much help, and that we was begging out, the Lord help me, please. And you don't know that we've always been a dynamic group of people who were resistant to what was going on, and we were always fighting back. But it just so happens that we've always taken losses too. So, and we've
Right.
always been kind of dumped on, right? But
Yeah.
that has never killed our spirit to I guess, for lack of a better term, keep on keeping on, right? I didn't want to get too I'm getting there on Black History Month. So I didn't want to get on my soapbox too much, man. I think we just got to keep making history. We just got to keep Black people just got to keep pushing, man. And
Right.
it's okay to look back and see it, but don't get stuck looking back. Just take a look back and then keep it moving. So, happy Black History Month to all of you all. I hope it's something that was important to you. And if you got youngsters, I hope you had good conversations with them
Yeah.
about where we should be at in 2022 when it comes to Black history and all these kinds of things. So, the Big Black Sports Show on a Tuesday night is your man Kevin Barnes and my boy Coach Tank, who's also an author. I see you don't have a copy of the book. You got to have it. You never know when I'm gonna call for it.
Ding!
There go the book. Hold it up a little bit more. There's the book. Fullback, my brother Coach Larry Tank Purdue. How do they get a hold of your book, homie?
Man, they can order this book on Amazon or on Lulu in paperback and in ebook.
Okay.
Amazon and Lulu.
Okay.
It's doing very good. I want to thank everybody that has purchased the book. Thanks for the reviews. Really appreciate it. It's a great book. I recommend it. I know football season is over, but this is an anytime book. This is an
Right.
anytime book, so check it out.
Okay. That's what's up. That's what's up. And like I say, we always try to big up anything that's positive and that's Black. I got my partner Ken Brown, who's an artist in Milwaukee. I'm trying to get Ken to come on. Ken has done a lot of the murals and stuff like that you see in the city. He's
Right.
doing like fashion and stuff like that. He's supposed to be doing some artistic renderings of our logo. So
That's
but
cool.
I want y'all to be able to like support stuff like Ken and like my brother Tank, and like when Kamar is doing Meatless Mondays with his Nature to Herbs and Supplements. I know I had the apparel for a good minute and people showed plenty love with it. Like, I'm not gonna even lie. People snatched up All Radio hoodies, t-shirts, coffee mugs. I had scarves, I had all kinds of stuff. And I kind of moved away from it for various reasons, various financial reasons. But people showed a lot of love. So there are people who want to support what you do. You just have to create something that they can use, something that they find valuable. Man, now we are into this. It's after the All-Star break now. There can be no more excuses. Now this is go time. The
That's
Bucks
right.
are in fourth place. And the Bucks lost to the Nets without James Harden. What's going on with the Bucks now it's time to start talking about, well, they're gonna repeat, they're gonna be able to defend the title. What's going on with the Bucks? What's wrong with them?
I think the roster is still trying to fill itself out. Once that roster is finalized, players know their roles, and players are healthy again. I think they're going to finish the season strong. I think this team can repeat, man. I think they can repeat. We're only 4 games behind, and if my, I know we can beat Miami. I know we can beat Miami in the series.
Okay.
So yeah, it's just a matter of these guys just getting together, getting healthy, and being on the same page when the playoffs start.
Okay. The Bucks don't have who are the young guns? Like I feel like a lot of these teams have a like a young kind of like a young infrastructure to them. Because I know you got your stars, like the good teams I'm talking about. Like when I think about Miami, I think about a younger, more bouncy team. I think about when I think about Philly, I think about more young with the Bulls. That Bulls team is extremely young. Um,
Yeah,
and the Bucks, it seems like the Bucks got old kind of quick, right? Like, so the big three been playing together now. About four. Well, Drew Holiday just came last year. Okay, so let's get to the Bucks in terms of the players that they have. You said you feel like this team could repeat. Is Middleton consistent enough? Right? Like, okay, so let's have the Middleton conversation, because we know Middleton is an all-star. We
right.
know Middleton paid dividends last year in the final series when Giannis was hurt and Middleton said, "Nah, don't worry about it. I got it." But are we seeing enough of Middleton? I feel like the games that the Bucks lose, like they just lost to the Nets, they had Portis with 30 and Giannis with 29 or something like that. But where was Middleton? Where was Holiday? Like where's the other scorers?
Right. Well, when you notice when they lose, that's usually what happens. The other role players don't show up. Um, as far as Middleton, man, at first, before we re-signed him, I was like, trade him, get rid of him. But after we re-signed him, man, and I started watching more and more of his game, Middleton is a really good three spot, man.
Okay.
He's a good small forward to me. He's unstoppable when he gets it going offensively, and he's 6'8". He's long enough, man, to either play the six or the two or the three. So, man, I like Middleton now, and I like that he can score when he gets it going. He gets it going, dude. He can fill it up. So I'm happy with him right now, because I don't think there's any other player in the league. Well, I wouldn't say any other player in the league, but I don't think there's many other players in the league right now that could give us more than what he could give us at that spot. And we don't want, and you want a certain player there too. He's I think he's also a good offensive player when it comes to moving the ball around. He's not a greedy guy. You know, he gets rid of the ball when he doesn't force a lot of shots. So that serves well when you're playing alongside Giannis.
Okay. So once again, they're in fourth place. And I like I'm looking at other teams, so the comparison, and I'm just looking at the East. I'm not even, because they got stomped on by the Suns before the All-Star break. I'm just looking at the East. And so I'm saying the Sixers, I feel like the Sixers are a little bit more two-sided. I feel like it's Harden and Embiid, and you can take Harden away with what Embiid does. Well, if he's not having a night where he just wants to shoot threes and he feels like going inside, you could potentially shut this team down if you're a good defensive team in the playoffs. Because I don't see them. They don't have that third option either. But and so their depth is, it's not as what to what I would think is a championship coming through there. Brooklyn seems to be the deepest team. They're a little bit, because they're kind of held back by their record through all of the injuries and whatnot, but they're looking like they may be the team that once the playoff starts, they're just kind of knocking people down because they have depth and they have star power. So do you really see the Bucks being able to win the East? I guess that's my question.
Yeah, I still see them being able to win the East, even though I like what the Nets did with their team. I definitely like Steph Curry over there. We can still beat the Nets.
Mm.
I mean, my question is Kyrie, what is Kyrie going to do? Is she still going to play at home games? Is she still going to be able to play out? No, wait, what is it? He's not allowed to play at home games now, right? Because of the vaccine?
He had been forbidden from playing in home games, but for
So
what?
is that going to last throughout the playoffs? Because if that lasts throughout the playoffs, they're not going to win championship.
No, I think right now as we speak, the mayor of New York is actually trying to get some mandates lifted. Well, the COVID vaccinations are overall are down. Like so, right now there's everything's trending towards trying to get back to some state of normalcy. So that probably is going to be lifted. Those restrictions will probably be
Well,
lifted by the time the NBA playoffs start.
okay, but I'll tell you what, until those restrictions are lifted and he continues to do what he's doing now, they're not going to make it. They're
Okay.
not going to make it. To me, he's throwing off chemistry by doing this, by
Mm.
doing what he's doing. But hey, I understand. I understand he's making a stand.
Well,
But
he came into Milwaukee and dropped 38 smooth on the Bucks. I
I
mean,
mean,
Kyrie is easily top 3 in terms of players in the NBA if you get down to just pure skill. Like he's easily
Kyrie has
3.
killed us in the past. He's a killer, man. He gets at us, but hey, Giannis eats their asses up too.
Yeah. But the thing is, if you got a healthy Nets team where you got a Harden, you have a Kyrie,
Well, not Harden, Nets,
sorry,
not Harden,
I'm sorry, Durant,
Durant, a
right,
healthy Durant, a full-time Kyrie,
right,
a full-time healthy Kyrie,
right.
and Simmons.
I'm not as sold on Simmons as some people, but okay, we'll throw him in there. Okay,
And Simmons. See, this is the thing, though. This is what I'm talking about. We're talking about how great they look on paper, but they come with some what ifs. I mean, Simmons hasn't played in a while.
right,
We don't know what his psyche is. This dude don't want to. He can play against Philly this week, but he doesn't want to. So to me, his psyche is still kind of fucked up. You know what
right.
I'm saying? It's they got some what ifs still. They still got to gel as a team. You know what I'm
Well,
saying?
yeah, I talked about the fact that by you having Kyrie and you having Ben Simmons and Durant, like you have like 3 divas. Like you almost need a crisis coordinator for that team. I don't know if each one of them individually would require some sort of therapist, some sort of counselor. Like
Simmons
right,
seems like he does.
right. Well,
Simmons
Kyrie,
seems like he does right now.
Kyrie's a special kind of guy too. I think to some extent Durant is too, because Durant has always been very. For me, I've looked at Durant as number one of the greatest talents the NBA has seen in a very long time, but he's also been one of the most sensitive. Like
Yeah,
he's always been so bothered about how people feel about him or how he's perceived. Now, because I felt like what happened with him in Golden State was, I felt like people got tired of his personality, because obviously you want a player like that on your team, but I think Kevin Durant has this kind of like aloof diva-ish personality, and I think for Golden State wanted to be more of a meat and potatoes kind of everyday, Oakland broad shouldered kind of, team. They wanted that image. So I think that's why
right,
he didn't mesh in Golden State. But I think to a certain degree, he's a diva too. He requires a lot of maintenance, a lot of cajoling, you have to remind him more often than not how important he is. And you're the best player in the NBA. And you gotta, like, those dudes, like them kind of dudes, you got to be sensitive with them. Like you can, I didn't like what the coach said about me or what the local newspaper wrote about me and shit like that. So
that's true.
yeah, right. They may be the all therapeutic team. I'll
Yeah.
call them all therapeutic.
I mean, the guys have the biggest egos, but the most fragile ones as well. It's crazy.
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah. And athletes are like that. Because a lot of athletes have just been catered to for so long, especially when we get these lifelong dudes he was 7 feet tall when he was in the 5th grade. Like it's like,
Right,
we've been knowing you was going to the NBA since you was 10, right? Like, so you pretty much have gotten whatever you want your whole life, right? Like, so
right.
so yeah, that's the one thing that could, and I think that's what kind of undermined because when you said Kyrie, Harden, and Durant, I was like, whoa, like that's gonna be hard to even get with some of the other role players that they had, Blake Griffin and all those kinds of. But then it was like you start to see like you can't have that many. You can't have that many egos on the same team. It just won't work. Like you just can't force it in there. So, um, it didn't surprise. Well, no, I'll take that back. It did surprise me that didn't really at least get one title, right? Like, but
Right.
people say, well, injuries and Harden's hamstring and Kyrie's ankle, and
But did they give it long enough though?
I mean,
How long was their big three together? What, just 2 years?
well, they was on the same team for a year. We know. This would have been year two, wouldn't it? With them, with their whole, if they'd have stayed together, would have been year two with the whole team.
Yes, see, I think that's the problem with pro sports right now, man. They want they have this win now attitude. We're gonna put this team together. Y'all guys better win right damn now. And I guess we're putting those three big contracts together. They were expecting to win the championship outright, but some teams got to jail, man. Some players, teams got to jail. Even though you have a big three, those three got to learn their roles with each other, and they never played with each other long enough to really be that comfortable with each other.
Well, once again, I think that the you could tell that the chemistry wasn't there early, so I don't think they wasted a lot of time, and that's why they were quick to pull that trigger. But chemistry is something that people have to understand in sports. Chemistry is very important, and you could have the greatest players in the world, but if they don't like each other and they don't want to play together, you're going to have a very hard time winning anything. So,
Right.
chemistry is not to be denied. Well, and when I look at Philly and I say, well, Harden is, I guess he's happy. And from the looks of things so far, he's happy. Is he's going pretty hard. Harden's going hard, right? Like so. Say no Frank Ocean. But how long is that gonna last, and how long can Harden physically hold up? And I'm talking about these teams because we're looking at the competition for the Bucks in the East, because we know more often than not winning a championship is a war of attrition, right? Like it's who lasts the longest, who's healthy during the playoffs, whose top dogs can still go. So how long can Harden go physically to win out in the East, deep in the playoffs, through the finals? Is Harden gonna hold up that long?
I mean, also, is Embiid going to hold up that long? He's got a history of injury too.
Yes, Embiid
So
does as well.
but Harden, I don't think Harden would be their problem. I just don't think they have enough.
Okay.
I don't think that their bench is strong enough. I don't think they got enough. I mean, one of their guards, Tobias Smith, I think.
Mm-hmm.
If they haven't traded him yet, I think he's one of their role players. But other than that, they don't. From what I recall, they don't have a lot.
Okay. And so, but depth tends to be a issue that a lot of the teams in the East are having. Because when I look at the Bucks, I don't see the Bucks as necessarily the deepest team in the league either. Because who's the backup? We still don't really haven't solidified that backup point guard. Portis is the way he stepped his scoring up is great for us this year. And Drew Holiday is still a top defender. I feel like Drew's scoring should be a little bit more consistent, and I don't know if it's because he's, deferring on some shots, trying to distribute the ball, or because that's why I say Middleton. I feel like Middleton's kind of inconsistent. It feels like it's up and down. Whereas when they were winning last year, and even all the times they've won in the regular season, you had a more consistent performance from the big three. I know that they're missing Lopez. I was hoping that Ibaka would come in. They have a young boy that they just signed from the Nets as well. And
Javon Carter.
Yeah, so I was hoping that these guys would bring some kind of defensive toughness to the Bucks, because when I look at them, they just not gritty, grimy enough on defense. I'm like, nah, this is not championship basketball, because I'm not seeing this defensively. I'm not like in the past, they were always up near the top in defense as well. And I'm looking at the Bucks and I'm saying, I'm not seeing the defense that I need to see. I know you're a big offensive guy, right? Like I know that's what you do, right? Like, but I just don't see it defensively. I feel like I've said it. I've said, they look soft, especially in the middle. Down low is like, you ain't daring nobody not to come down there. It's like, come on in, lay it up, right? Like so.
Well, they say Lopez is practicing again, so that's a good sign. We'll have our rim protector back by the playoffs. They can bring him along slowly because, well, it depends on at the end of the season. If we're in the race for the first or the second seed, then I'll try to rush him along. But if we're not, if we can obtain that first second seed and we're comfortable, I bring him along, man. I bring him along slowly. Ain't no rush right now. Bobby Portis is manning that five pretty well. Shit, let's just have him ready for the playoffs. Have our 5 spot ready for the playoffs.
I don't think they'll be the 1 or the 2 seed. My prediction.
You don't think they'll catch up? You don't think they're only 4 games back?
I think the Bucks being in 4th place is an accurate picture of where they are in the East. I think they are the 4th best team in the East right now. I don't think
you think that's how we're gonna finish?
I believe so. If they don't slip, because Cleveland is an up and coming young team that's got a lot of talent, and they nipping on the Bucks' heels, and I just don't see. I see Giannis, and I like I said, I love what Portis is doing, but team wise, this Bucks team, to me, that team last year had an identity. In the past, they've had an identity. They were high scoring, intense on defense. You can get them sometimes. You catch them, but you see them now. The Bucks, who have they really beaten? Who have they beaten consistently of quality? Because I see them play some teams and win, and then you go and play Miami, or you go play a Chicago, or you go play a Brooklyn, and you get hammered. Denver, you get hammered. Like, so I'm in the playoffs. I'm saying I don't know. I'm not really 100% confident in this team. I don't know. I don't know about Bucks in 6 this year.
Well, they just won their last game. They lost 2 of their last 3. But like I said, they're still gelling. The roster is still trying to fill itself out. So I expect them to lose a game here and there. I don't expect the wheels to fall off, but I do expect the game to drop here and there until we can get our pieces back. We got George Hill. He's practicing again, so he should be available soon.
Okay.
I mean, I got confidence in our role players that are hurt right now, that when they get back and our starting lineup can go back to what it is as usual, they'll get back in the groove of things, man. And they're going to catch up some games on some people. They're going to sneak up on somebody. I don't think they're going to stay in 4th. I think they'll at least finish the season in 3rd. They'll at least finish 3rd in the East, I think.
Okay. Okay. So say they finish 3rd. Who's above them?
Miami and Brooklyn. It'll be the 2 to 3 teams. I think what?
No, Chicago.
Philly. Well, I think somebody's going to get knocked out of this spot.
Right.
Somebody's going to get knocked out of that top 3.
Okay.
Somebody's going to get knocked out. Chicago is young, man. See, that's the thing that people seem to forget, though. They're young and they're exciting, but they're young. They're young. This team hasn't won. This team hasn't been tested in the playoffs yet. We all know the playoffs is a different game. You're not going to be doing all that damn running and gunning all game in the playoffs. The game is going to slow down. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And you're going to have to play some half court basketball. And to me, that's when the physicality of the game takes over. And that's when you need some goons on your team. And we got some goons. We got some goons this year, and I like that.
The Bucks? Who's
Yeah, I like physical players. I
what
like
are you saying that I'm not seeing on this team? Talking about some goons. Who's goonish? Nobody's even who? Thanis. Who?
who
I've never seen
Bobby,
him.
the people's champ.
Yeah,
First of all, the
Bobby.
people's champ, but Bobby Porter's got the whole league shook.
Nah, not in a goon way.
Ask
Nah.
Moreau about Bobby Portis.
Uh,
Ask
he's
Moreau
he,
about Bobby
he
Portis.
don't get the same kind of wreck like a PJ. PJ kind of had a, you know. Well,
Hey,
Portis is not. I feel like Portis
I
is the
think
guy. He's
Portis is
infamous.
more feared than PJ.
Nah.
He's more feared in the league than PJ.
Scoring while as an offensive player, maybe, but no, come on, son. Like I
Okay,
don't.
I'm trying to tell you, hey, Portis was a goon in Brooklyn
Okay.
when he played. He was a goon. He's a goon for us. He plays
Okay.
hard for us,
Who
but
else?
also, hey, Grayson Allen. Grayson Allen is a goon. He's a
Wow.
goon. He's a physical player, dude. Hey, look, didn't he just broke who is that? Caruso? Is that Caruso that plays for the Bulls?
He got a flagrant foul. Yeah, he got a flagrant foul and he tomahawked him. But I
Right.
mean,
That's that goon shit we need. That's that physical basketball.
wow.
That's that physical basketball we need.
He got a flagrant foul and got ejected.
Man.
So you saying that's what we need?
But hey, in the playoffs though, you ain't gonna come in that paint.
No, wow.
You come in that paint, you getting hit.
And he won't do that to no big timer either. He won't do that to an Embiid or
Who's to say he's been doing that his whole career? He's been doing that his whole college career.
Okay.
He's a goon.
Okay. You're identifying these individuals, right? Like so. Okay.
So, I'm giving you my components for a championship team.
Exactly.
You gotta have some scores. You gotta have a little defense, and you gotta have some goons.
And yours are Grayson Allen and Bobby Portis.
We have Grayson Allen as a goon. He's just coming off of suspension for breaking a guy's shoulder. He's a goon. We got Bobby Portis. He's a known goon. He'll give you a 2-piece. Ask Moreau. Who else we got that's pretty goonish? Giannis will fight. Giannis is a scrapper. He's pretty physical. Yeah, actually, Giannis is very physical. He's very physical. So we got some physical players out there, man.
You absolutely killing me. Like okay. I mean, you die hard for the hometown. I give you that much. If y'all agree with Tank on the Bucks being able to
man,
put it in the chat room, hit the number 262-202-20513.
You gotta have some
25131. I'm sorry, I'm illiterate, y'all. Go ahead, Tank.
I'm sorry, but I just wanted to say though, I just wanted to reiterate that you need some goons, you need some physical players on your team if you want to win a championship. Hey, look through our history. And speaking of physical players, Charles Oakley.
Right.
Can we talk about that for a second? The things that Charles Oakley had to say about Giannis, man.
Okay.
Now here's an ex All-Star NBA goon, Charles Oakley.
Right. Respect it.
Respect it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he's not giving Giannis his credit. I don't like.
Okay.
That I don't like. I think he was saying that Giannis wouldn't dominate in his era. I think Giannis is physical. That's terrible. That's terrible to think. Right. But also Charles Oakley's, he's been saying a lot of crazy things lately since he released his book. Okay. But yeah, I just wanted to mention that while we're talking about goons, NBA goons, since he was a former NBA goon, a great NBA goon, and to me, that kind of pushes my point. He's been on champions. I think he's won a champ. Did he win a championship with Mikey?
I thought he got a couple with Jordan, maybe 2 or 3. I think he got with Jordan.
He was Jordan's goon. He was Jordan's protection in Chicago.
He was with the Knicks for a bunch of years.
he was Ewing's protection with the Knicks. So yeah,
Mhm.
you need a goon.
Okay, within the context of what he said.
Right.
Okay, so we're talking about, we're going back to his era. We're talking about a lot of beef in the post, and once again,
Mm,
no, pause when I say a lot of beef in the post, meaning that the way they built teams back then was different because you invested a lot of money in having your bigs, a big, huge power forward. We're talking about a Karl Malone, and then behind Karl Malone, a 7-foot center, and a
yep.
6'8" shooting guard to go with. Only Stockton was the little dude, right? Like so, but everybody
Right.
was these big, huge, big muscle bound dudes. So when we talk about how they played, having Giannis in the post getting banged on by them, with the amount of hand checks and physicality that was allowed in the NBA, is there some accuracy to the statement? Because one of the things about Giannis is not really a pull-up guy. He's not really a 15-footer mid-range shooter type guy. He gets to the basket, he dominates in the post. I guess the thing would be, if you could look at Akeem and say Akeem was dominant, then Giannis and Akeem are almost like mirror images of each other in terms of their athleticism, and some of the things that they can do in the post. I don't know that it's that realistic to say Giannis would not have had as easy a time if you got, Karl Malone, and you got Charles Oakley, and you got James Edwards, and you got Robert Parrish, and you got these Charles Barkley, these big old 275-pound dudes who are all about this right here. The thing we don't
Right.
know is would Giannis have adjusted to it.
Right.
But
Because like you said, a different era. A
okay,
different era, different rules. You know what I'm saying?
right,
Different strategies. The game was different. The game was played inside out
right,
back then. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, if he had to play with his back to the basket most of the time, it would have been much more difficult for him to score. I still think he would have been successful, but here's a guy who he's a 7-footer, 6'11", 7 feet. He's a 230, 240 pounder, 250 pounds, I think.
talking about
And
Giannis,
that, Giannis,
about
this
250, 250.
250. This was your average center size back then in Oakley's era. 7 feet, 250 and bigger. Here you got Giannis that is 7 feet, 250, way more athletic,
Right,
way more athletic. Even though, like you were saying, he doesn't have a perimeter game, he will still shoot that shot. He'll still bring you out. And he's the type of guy that, like I said, he's not a back to his basket type of player. He likes to turn, face you up, and he has a handle like a guard, which was rare back then. You didn't have many guys. I don't remember since Magic a guy that big with a handle like that. And then later on came Lamar Odom. I remember seeing Lamar Odom play for the Heat one night where he crossed somebody over. He's 6'10" and crossed the shit out of somebody in the post. You know what I'm saying? You just didn't see that back then. And now you see Giannis doing it on a nightly basis. You know what I'm saying? He has a handle. His
right.
athleticism, I think, would have been just as dominant then as it is now. I still think he would have been hard to guard
Yeah.
if they would have allowed him to grow.
Also, too, I think with people got to understand that what Charles Oakley done, is what all athletes do, right? Like, so in every sport you have, could he have played in your era? That type of questioning, and it's always, if you're an athlete, one of the things that makes you a great athlete is your ego and your confidence in yourself. So it's not like I would expect Charles Oakley. And Charles Oakley is a proud dude. He's an old macho. He one of them dudes who pride himself in the fact that, yeah, I used to drop elbows on fools, and I was
Right.
paid to get out there and really put the hurting down. But okay, but this is a different type of athlete now. Like, so those ain't those athletes that he encountered, those literally we leaning on each other in the post, and this no, you talking about dudes now who gonna tell you, oh, you stay down the post, I'm about to shoot this three, come on out here,
Right.
come out here on this perimeter, right? So in this case, I guess I'm saying any player who wanted to really D Giannis up like that, it works in Giannis' favor, because he can say, no, you know what, let me back up a little bit, I'm gonna get you out into some space a little bit, big man. And I'm about to just take you off the dribble because
Right.
one thing that they would have had a problem with dealing with Oakley and all those dudes is Giannis, his athletic ability and his first step. Like that first when he's one step and already damn near to the basket, and you like, God damn, you ever watch Giannis? 2 steps is all he needs to get to the basket, right? Like so,
Right.
but it's like when you ask Mike Tyson, could you have beat Muhammad Ali, right? Like so, who's the greatest boxer? You ask LeBron, could you have beat Jordan? You different types of athletes from different eras. And you and I with football, we look back and say, "Oh, those old school guys was tough." But could a Dick Butkus cover like any of the slot receivers in the NFL right now? Like, would he be able? You put him with Kelsey or Gronkowski and say, "Hey, that's your man, middle
Right.
linebacker." You take a Aaron
Or
Jones. You tell Dick Butkus you got first back out, and it's Aaron Jones. He's not different times, different athletes. You're not. He can't cover anybody
right.
on
Or
so
or could he tackle a Derrick Henry?
same thing, right? Like so, right? A back that's bigger, like and
I
faster
love to
than
see
you.
that.
Yeah. So I mean, but those athletes can say, "Hey, well, yeah, nobody could have beat me," right? We first of all, we'll never know. But
Right.
I just think you got to. It's so important to understand the times. Um, you go from for like the NFL where they went from a period where the average lineman was 6'1", 240 pounds, to now where I think it's 6'4", 315 pounds. Right? You say bigger, stronger, faster. You take the NBA where most big men stood down low, rebounded, and did the dirty work. Where now you got 7-footers who are up towards the top of the league in 3-point and field goal percentage. They wouldn't play in the post if you paid it. They like that's beneath me. What are you talking about? I'm a
Right.
shooter, right? Like so. Um, it
Post.
it all changes, right? Like it all changes, and that's why I think that the only one that you can kind of look at is boxing, because I think fighting is fighting, right? And,
Right.
and we always say styles make fights. So when we say, could Sugar Ray and what's his name, Rocky Marciano, or these, when you start matching up these Floyd, Pretty Boy Floyd versus Floyd Mayweather, when you start looking at these and you say, okay, let's look at their styles, and you say that would have given so and so hell. Like when we talk about
Yeah.
Muhammad Ali versus Mike Tyson, even at Mike Tyson at his peak, Muhammad Ali's jab would have frustrated Mike. Like
Yep.
because Mike had a hard time getting close to him. And so Ali would have just jabbed him, and then he would start talking to him, and Mike would
Yeah,
have.
made him mad. Yep.
But
Yep.
somebody like Evander Holyfield with the superior conditioning and strength and training coming forward on Muhammad Ali without the jab don't affect him as much, and he's a counter productor and a smart boxer, a counter puncher and a smart boxer. So you say those styles, it's like, oh man, this is gonna be a good ass fight. So, I think a better fight would be Joe Frazier against Mike Tyson, because I think you got two fighters who are similar, two short, stocky, straight land, like power in each
That would
hand
have been
can.
that would be a good one. That would have been
Yeah,
a good one.
yeah. So you
Yeah.
say somebody like Muhammad Ali and I'm sorry, Evander Holyfield and George Foreman, two bigger, two big dudes, muscle bound. But you won't really know, because, like I said, we'll never be able to, unless unless they're really doing something with genetics and cloning that we don't
Right.
know yet, right?
Cryogenics or whatever the fuck.
Type shit, right?
Whatever they call it.
And I'm not going to that fight. Not going. I see the Packers are clearing room. They're clearing cap room. Um, and people are saying, well, they're clearing this cap room because they're going to keep Aaron Rodgers. I think they're clearing the cap room because they have to. I think because you got to clear it, right? Like you got to do something about it. I think Aaron Rodgers' days in Green Bay are done. I think Aaron Rodgers will be announcing him being with another team pretty soon. I think it's coming pretty soon. Um, Devontae Adams is going to be on him, because if Aaron Rodgers decides to go somewhere, then Devontae's probably gonna want to go with him. So now we start talking about what you get for these two players. Like, you got a back-to-back MVP quarterback, probably the greatest arm talent you've seen in the regular season. Um, and then you got what looks like the best receiver in the NFL, not necessarily a burner, not a Tyreek Hill, but some people would argue that he runs much better routes than Tyreek Hill. And maybe his hands might be better than Tyreek Hill in terms of making tough catches. So I'm still of the mindset that you scratch the board clean. I think you let Aaron walk, and I think you hit the reset button because you got to do it sooner. You got to do it sooner than later.
Right.
17 for him. I mean, it's coming, right? And that's why I was always looking at this whole situation like, Aaron Rodgers, you're in year 16. Wow, what's the issue with them going? You know how this league works. You know how you got your position because you came in and kind of unseated Favre. You know how this game goes. So I didn't understand. I was like, I don't understand why you so pissed off about this. Like, why is this an issue? Well, they didn't tell me, or what? It's like, is that normally how this shit goes? Did I miss something, or so I haven't. I guess I've seen Aaron Rodgers fall flat on his face in the playoffs enough times to say I'm over it. And I think I'm saying what most Packer fans don't want to say. All right, let's go. Let's move on. Like, I don't get me wrong. To me, Aaron Rodgers is I haven't seen a quarterback who has a better arm than Aaron Rodgers ever. I've never seen it.
Look, I agree with you. And at first I was in denial myself, but when you look at it, like I said, the last 10, 11 years, and we only had one Super Bowl with arguably the second greatest quarterback to play the last 10, 15 years.
2025. Yeah.
2025. Mm-hmm. So when you look at it like that, it's like, okay, well, maybe he's done here. My thing is this: either sign them both or let them both go.
Okay.
Either sign them both or let them both go, because to me, one without the other isn't going to help us much. Especially if we re-sign Adams and let Rodgers go, because we already saw that without Rodgers and with that familiarity at QB, he's not going to be effective. Jordan, and what I'm talking about is the Packers game, the Packers versus Chiefs, when Rodgers was out due to COVID and Jordan Love had to start. Jordan Love he could not complete a pass to Adams to barely save his life. You know what I'm saying? I think he probably targeted him 3 or 4 times. So, not having that familiarity at quarterback, not having that connection, I don't see us doing that well next year without having those two together. Okay. If we're going to rebuild, let's do a complete rebuild. Let's get rid of everybody. Let's get rid of the terrible contracts. Let's get rid of the potential, the players with potential that aren't panning out. Let's completely clear the slate then. But if not, if we feel that the pieces that we have, hey, we can still do something with this, then let's bring them back. Why not? My thing is to me, it's better to bring back two of the most integral pieces of the offense than trying to rebuild the rest of the team.
Okay. I'm with you. I guess about half of the way. I mean, and I say I'm with you because I do agree that maybe it's time for a new direction. Like, maybe it's time. And I think the one thing we all have to look at is, like you said, some of us are just in denial because you don't ever want it to end. It's like, okay,
right,
you got this great quarterback, man, and I really appreciate being able to tune in on Sundays and watch this dude go to work. But I think, number one, you have to understand that there's more than one way to win the Super Bowl. And I said this once and I'll say it again. You don't have to have a top 10 all-time greatest quarterback to win the Super Bowl. There's different ways to do it. Now, ideally, if you got the best quarterback, you think, okay, we're gonna win a bunch of Super Bowls with them. That's not always been the case, right? Like, so if you look, at the NFL over the years, you see that that's not always the case. But I think also, once again, when you get to the level that Aaron Rodgers is at, you become sort of a hindrance wherever you go. Because number one, you command so much of the attention. You command so much of the salary cap. You command so much that you almost hold the whole franchise hostage. Like, right? Like, so, we want to sign other players and do other things, but we got to make sure we pay you $30 million a year, right? Like, we got to make sure we cater to you. We got to make sure we bring in coaches and players, receivers that you like. And it becomes a situation where it's like, all right, that's why you see quarterbacks when they don't win Super Bowls, they get moved around because it's like, dude, we giving you half the organization, like we giving you the keys, and there's nothing here. We gonna look elsewhere.
Right.
So I my only thing with Aaron Rodgers is what you get for him, right? Like you have to know you trading the farm. This is a generational talent. You need to get a lot of draft picks for him and at least one accomplished free agent, right? Like, so this has to be a blockbuster thing. And if you're going to throw Devontae Adams in there, I think somebody damn near got to give us their whole draft.
Man, you know what? Or we'll have somebody's first round draft picks for the next 4 or 5 years, damn near. Something, something that has some meat to it, to get rid
Right.
of those two. Because, like I said, they're the nucleus of the offense. We got a great backfield. Backfield is awesome. But, man, when you have the ability to just do play action anytime you want,
Right.
man, I mean, there's just no fucking way we should have not made it to the Super Bowl. Damn.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think once, okay, so you do have this, you got a foundation for this great running game, right?
Right.
And I think what you do is you still got some youth. You have a youth movement of sorts on defense. So I feel like you've tried it one way, tried a different way. Now let's get a ridiculous defense. Okay, because you have a coach who's an offensive genius, right? You got to get a defense that's mad hard, that can stop, that can get off the field. And then you just give LaFleur some plausible pieces. And I feel like they're gonna be a good offense and they're gonna score points.
Right. We just need a good D line. Our secondary is nice. I like our
Right.
secondary, our free safety, our safety. If they coming back, if
Right.
Amos and
Yeah.
Amos and Savage,
Yeah.
if they're coming back,
They'll keep both of them. Of course, Jair's here. I
and
don't. I believe.
Stokes,
Yeah, Stokes is a fine. I think Kevin King is the only one here who's gonna be gone. He upped his value, so I think he'll find somewhere else to go. But I think when you have Stokes and then you have my man Sullivan, who made all the plays, and you have Jair coming back, and you have I think on the back end we're good. I think you have to pay my man Campbell at linebacker.
yes,
I think
now that's who we need to work on signing.
Yes, Chris Barnes.
That's what we need to focus on.
Yeah, you got to pay him, and I think Chris Barnes is a good young linebacker. Who's the other one? I can't remember who the other linebacker is, the other outside linebacker, but I think you can plug somebody in there.
Gary, Rashawn Gary.
Is he a DN or a linebacker?
You know what?
Because of how they play, is he considered a linebacker?
They use him at both.
I usually don't. I see them put Smith at coverage. I think they have to make it. What are you going to do with the Smiths? Like, I think the big one, I forget his name. Goodness gracious. I think he has to take a pay cut. I think Za'Darius is fine. You just have to see what you got from him after this injury.
Is he coming back?
I don't know. That's what we don't know. I don't know.
Okay. We gotta I like
So
Zadarius at line. I like him, dude.
when he was healthy, he gave us some pass rush. He gave us some pass.
Yeah,
So they both were good that first year. And then I can't remember the other one's name? I
Preston
can't
Smith.
Preston. Yes, he had a pretty good. He made some plays last year. He disappeared in some games, but
Yeah,
uh, he made some plays. I think he justified if he says, "Look, I'll take a pay cut." I think you could bring him back, but I still think you got to go across the NFL and you got to bring something else in here. You got to bring something like an Aaron Donald. You
yeah.
have to,
We need something on the line. We need a beast on the line. Something,
yeah,
something to compliment Clark
yes, and Gary
and
and
Gary. Yep, at that other
uh,
end.
yes, you got to bring something that's coming around there. I thought Kingsley Kiki would be, but then he got released over some things. Um, and then they brought
Yeah, I
Whitney
forget.
Merciless in, who Whitney Merciless. It looks like he must have done enough to get a second chance at him. And I don't know if he's on the tail end of his career, but I just think you got to bring another home run hitter in there to bring some heat off the edge. And I feel like he
Right.
got to be a youngster. I don't like it's got to be some young because you got to always have young blood. So
I agree.
we'll see. But like I said, I think once you get rid of Aaron Rodgers, and then you have to trust yourself as an organization to find another quarterback. You say it ain't easy. Well, you got to figure it out. And we already see
Right.
y'all missed on Jordan Love because if people say the sample ain't the sample size ain't big enough. I personally have seen all I need to see of Jordan Love. I didn't see anything that would make now he could surprise me. A full camp, maybe if Aaron leaves, full springs, OTAs, maybe a couple pieces here and there. They start to build the offense around him a little bit more. Maybe he'll come out next year and we'll say, wow. But right now, I don't see it, boss. I don't see it.
No, I
I,
don't see it either.
okay.
No, I
AJ.
don't see it either. The
Because
Chiefs game was all I needed to see. I'm like, he got some work to do.
even when Aaron Rodgers was younger and I would see him come in off the bench and play, I would say, whoa, that boy got an arm. Like, okay, I
Right.
see you got a quick release. Okay. And he would be driving the offense and you'd be saying, shit, maybe
He got
turn
next.
around and sit down, right? Like, and so,
Right.
right. So we'll see. We'll see. We'll see. And once again, when is it time to say goodbye? Like now that's if Aaron Rodgers says, look, I want to come back and finish here, because this is what I feel like he needs to do. I told you what I think he'll do, but I feel like what he needs to do is say, I'm gonna finish my career here and I want to play here 4 more years, and I'm gonna spread my money out. I'm gonna restructure out, and I'll go personally recruit free agents myself, because the one thing I want to do is bring at least 2 Super Bowl rings here before I leave, and I'm dead set on doing that here. I ain't going nowhere else. I'm willing to whatever we got to do with my bread, because you rich, bro. Like, you'll never, unless you do some dumb shit. Um,
Right.
money ain't gonna never really be an issue for you ever again. They can even back in some of his money to after he's done playing to say, Aaron, but I think he owes it to Green Bay to come back. And I think if he leaves, it's an asterisk and on him. And I don't believe he's gonna go somewhere and win a Super Bowl if he leaves. So, because where's he gonna go? Please don't say Denver. Um, you're not gonna take him in Dallas, because we're talking about teams that got enough talent right now to go to the next level and win the Super 49ers. Well, you got so much invested in your boy.
What
So
about Tennessee?
okay. Tennessee. Number one, can Tennessee protect him? Can they keep him upright? You can say, well, you got a running game. They're a running team. They're a physical team. Can they protect him? Are there enough offensive weapons in Tennessee? Because then now you got to go and try to go get some big time. I know they got the boy Brown
Yeah, they
and
got a good
receiver,
receiver.
but I feel like you got to go get some receivers if you're going to bring in a quarterback like Aaron, because the expectation is now we're going to throw the ball at least 25 times a game, So now Henry's carries are kind of compromised, is Tennessee a good spot for him? I thought he already ruled Tennessee out. I think the only way you could do this is if you send him somewhere where like it's a situation like Tampa Bay where they got the pockets to just go and buy everything else he needs. If you're gonna do it like that, yeah. But I feel like he should work with Green Bay and have them do it like that. So
True, true, and like I said, this is a team that just come off of a 13-3 record. So a lot of the pieces are in place. You know what I'm saying? It's just that, you know, shoring up the special teams unit, which was probably the biggest problem that we had last year overall. And we may even have to get rid of Mason Crosby. Time is probably just up for his ass. Long time kicker, what been with been with us for what, 13 years now, I think.
for a long time.
He missed way too many extra points and way too many field goals this year. He was a
Right.
part of the special teams problem. He's got to go. You know,
Okay.
I think we just need to make some subtle changes, man. You know, but if we get rid of one, if we get rid of Rodgers, if we lose Rodgers, then I would let Adams go. But if we can retain Rodgers, I would try to keep Adams as well.
Well, the ball is in their court, honestly, because they are saying now that they never promised him a trade. So they're like, we never said we was gonna trade you. So it's up to us. If he say, I guess there's a gentleman's a cordial agreement that he says, if I decide I want to leave, is it good? And they say, yeah, okay, well, we'll work something out. But they don't have to trade him, right? Like they can really be, they could be jerks about it and say, we ain't gonna trade. We ain't gonna trade you, Aaron.
So instead of re-signing you, we can just let you play your contract out and just be
Well, you can
done.
just sit there. You don't have to report. Just because you're gonna get fined every day you ain't in camp. Um, I don't think that that's the route that they're trying to take with Aaron Rodgers. I think they want a cordial split up, a cordial split. The one thing about these teams is people forget that these are businesses, and so in their mind, what they can get out of Aaron Rodgers, they've already gotten it in terms of value, right?
Right.
So you best believe the Packers ain't crying a river over this. The Packers, I can tell you like this. The Packers, I bet you, are looking at this like, look, it's a win-win for us. If we get a bunch of draft picks and are able to reinforce our team, we're good. If we keep them for another year or two, how many games are we gonna sell out? We're still gonna be the
Right.
main attraction. We're gonna win out. We're gonna win some games. So I think it all
Okay,
it's
now
all on them.
check this out now. The NFL Combine started today, right? So now, last year or the year, or a couple of years ago, one of the reasons for his problems is that he was upset about us drafting Love. Now here we are in the NFL Combine again, and here he is threatening to. He wants to leave, so that puts the Packers in a pretty precarious position. You may lose a quarterback. So do you run the risk of offending Aaron Rodgers by drafting a quarterback? Is he mature enough and stable enough mentally to realize that, hey, this is a 7 round draft. You know, we consider ourselves staying at your position. Do they need to ask him this year? Hey, do you mind if we draft a quarterback this year, Aaron? Do they need to ask him that shit this year?
Right. So if they decide to get rid of Jordan Love and go get a new quarterback, do they got to clear it with him?
Right. You know what I'm saying? Are their hands tied now because they may come across a quarterback that they feel they can develop. So yeah. Do you run the risk of offending him again, or should he know by now? Hey, this is a business move.
Right. We are getting trolled to bejesus and back by somebody on YouTube, Habasha King Habasha, right? He's saying, right, he's going in on us. He's going in on we got love for the grafted man. I guess he's on some anti-war. He's trolling us. White women came from white men's nutsack. You swirling black men is wow. Yeah, he's getting his troll on. Right, right, right.
Idiot.
Right. fuck your white daddy, America. I don't know. He's upset, right? This is somebody who's trolling us. It's the big black
Man.
show. So yeah, he's political on. He's making whoever this guy is. He's making his statement on the war effort, I guess. And speaking of that, so he helped us with this transition. Now there were some athletes who were stuck in the Ukraine. Like, is this how did this come about?
So from what I gather, as far as the Ukrainian Pro Basketball League, some of the pro black athletes were trying to get out of their contracts before leaving the country, so they would be allowed to play elsewhere. And from what I understand, the Ukrainian teams were very reluctant to do that, and that would also mean that the players couldn't get paid. So a lot of those guys were staying there because they were trying to stay there, hanging on for the last minute because they were trying to get paid and out of their contracts. So that's one of the reasons why a lot of them ended up missing an opportunity to leave. It ended up getting stranded. Another thing I'm hearing, man, is that it's not so much as the Ukrainians that are giving people of color problems, but the bordering nations that they're fleeing to. The bordering nations are giving some people of color some problems as far as trying to enter.
Okay. And so and I keep seeing like the NFL and the NBA are scheduling games overseas already and saying, "Oh, they're gonna play in England," and I'm like, "Wait a minute, we don't even know where this thing is going. We don't know where this is going. And for a whole year, we don't know where this is going.
Right.
Should we be planning on games way over there already?" Ewok the Great is on the line. Ewok, what's popping with you, my brother?
Man, look here, man. Racism is worldwide. They ain't letting black people get out of there. You know what I'm saying? They doing this so-called first class people. Man, if you look at, I know you can't look at everything, man. They got this clip on, I think Dr. Rashad Ritchie is called Indisputable, man. They got these white people on there talking about we're blind-eyed, blue-eyed white people. We get to go first. Real talk. You know what I'm saying? And they making black people sit there and wait to try to even attempt to get out of Ukraine. You know what I'm saying? It's ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? I'm just trying to say, man, racism is a big old thing worldwide.
Okay. I agree with you. And once again, this is why we do this conversation, we do this show about sports, because sports and race relations.
Damn them athletes, man. I know this is your
close.
your sports show, but I had to put that out there. That's all, man.
No, that's relevant because the conversation was about American athletes who are trapped over there. So I didn't know they were being mistreated by bordering nations. I didn't know that. So shout out to Ewok.
Yeah, they ain't even letting them leave, man. They talking about black ass motherfuckers. We go first. We trying to run too. So y'all can run after us type shit.
Wow. Okay. Well, I didn't know that. So shout out to Ewok for bringing the knowledge. Shout out to you.
All right, I'm gonna let y'all get back to it, man.
My brother. Shout out to Ewok. Yeah, man. I mean, if that's the case, anybody else got any knowledge of people of color being pushed back in terms of getting out of the Ukraine? If you got some information like that, hit me up. I'm looking at King Habasha. He says drone, Swedish, Norwegian, white coalition prize smuggling Ukraine into Denmark, Sweden, Norway, and deport Africans to Libya via slavery. Okay. So he's man, this brother's going in. He needs to call in. He needs to do this during Outlaw Radio, though, not necessarily the big black sports show.
Right.
He said, look how they do Cynthia G. I don't know who that is. We still have FBA males traveling overseas to date white man's trash, outcasted, broke middle class Scandinavians. Wow, this brother is going in, right? Like he's Habasha King Habasha. You can see the comments if you go to the YouTube joint. So he's on the YouTube page. I seen that the brother Keyshawn Thomas here, and this is something we'll talk about tomorrow night on Outlaw Radio as well. The brother who died in police custody here. And right now, I guess they are investigating to see what the cause of death was. I kind of threw a hypothesis out there when I first heard about this on the show, and I know that there's some youngsters who are apprehended with drugs, and they will take the drugs, right? And I guess in an effort to not get caught. And I didn't know if this was the case with this young brother. It was just something we threw out in conversation. And so now they're looking to see if this was his cause of death, because there apparently was no sign of trauma or like any that he was beaten or anything like that. But I know Colin Kaepernick has this thing now where he's going. He has this organization, Know Your Rights, and they're supposed to be providing autopsies for victims who died in police custody and who maybe their death was as a result of some police negligence. So they're saying Kaepernick, and I don't know this to be 100% factual, but I seen somebody had put on Facebook actually, and it's somebody who I consider to be a reputable source. That's why because I know people say, "Damn, Kev, really?" But they stated that Colin Kaepernick had agreed, his organization Know Your Rights was going to come in, and I guess because this young man has already had an autopsy, but the toxicology is not back yet. So I guess this is what they're going to do now. What do you think about this Colin Kaepernick thing, where additional autopsies can be done in the cases of police negligence?
I think it's fine. There's nothing wrong with having a procedure that backs up a finding. There's nothing wrong with confirmation. So to me, this would be confirmation of what they find. The thing that I find funny is that 3 of the officers were suspended right away, and they usually don't do that fast. Now I don't know if that's because of the pushback from the riots and the civil unrest, we'll call it, but suspending those 3 officers that fast was alarming to me. To me, it kind of symbols, hey, there was some wrongdoing done, but we'll take care of it. Wink, wink.
But I don't know. It's a standard operating procedure to tell the officers, you suspended until further notice, because obviously we have a death on our hands and it has to be fully investigated. So the truth will come out. I think that the crazy part is that this individual's friend, I seen in some places it said brother, some places it said friend. This young brother went up in a police station and let the thumper go. So he went to the police station to start shooting. Now he was not killed. He fled. I guess once he ran out of ammo and they shot back, they chased him and shot him and then apprehended him. But this is what we're looking at now. It should say something to the powers that be, that you have youngsters right now who are starting to feel that way. There are people in the populating the cities that say, you know what, enough is enough. When it looked like it's some bullshit involved, I'm going for mine. I think it's something that police need to pay attention to. I think it's something that everybody needs to pay attention to. And so we really need to implement some procedural things that police have to go through to bring down the murders, because I feel like if this is where it's going, every time we have a police murder, every time, we're going to see some sort of retaliatory act. So I'm hoping this ain't the way it's going. And I know I got people out there who say, "Kid, what you talking about? The revolution." Because I've said a lot of times, I don't believe we're necessarily ready for any kind of direct head up combat with the United States military or any kind of police organization. I don't think we're ready for that yet. So, I hope this is not something that's going to become a trend, because a lot of brothers and sisters are end up getting murdered behind this. So did you see that though, where the brother ran up in the police station?
Yeah, I did. That was disturbing, man. Just the boldness of it. You know, that's
Right.
what struck. That's what struck me the hardest. Just, you know, he was hurting that bad that he couldn't control his emotions. You know what I'm saying? That he had to react that way,
Something
and
was
that's
going
sad.
on. Right. Something was going on to make you say, I'm gonna run up in the police station with the blicky, and I'm just gonna get to letting loose. And like from the damage I seen on the news, there was some so bullet holes. It didn't look like he was shooting a 25.
Right,
Uh,
right. He
yeah.
probably had the Draco letting off up in there or something like what.
Who
You know,
knows? Yeah. Right. Yeah. It's crazy. I mean, so it's time for March Madness. I watched the other day, and I know in one day they had almost every top team, men's basketball team playing, and they all lost. I watched Gonzaga lose to St. John's. I want to say, it was a good game. It just amazes me. They play so hard. College basketball players, they go so hard. Like it's
yeah,
they get to the pros, and when you get to the playoffs, you see those brothers in the playoffs, and when they going for that title, they play hard, but they play so hard in college. Like these brothers are going in, and so it's March Madness. But here in Wisconsin, the high school basketball um, playoffs are starting, so we
that's right.
know that they've had some conference championships. We talked about Tech and the young man who was their best player, Lyric, I want to say Davis. Was that his last name? I don't want to.
Lyric Davis, Lyric Davis.
So he ended up being like player of the year, and they Tech actually won city. So I guess a lot of attention will be on him for the playoffs. But we got some teams that are going in. You had some teams you wanted to highlight that were going in that you.
Well, well, well. Basically, just wanted to talk about. Today was the start of the WIAA boys basketball tournament, and looking at some of the previews, I didn't see that many city teams being
Okay.
picked to win the divisions. I think I saw Milwaukee Academy of Sciences Division 4. They were predicted to finish pretty high, but other than that, I didn't see a lot of city teams posted. And I was just wanted to check out some of the city schools that did well in the state championship, and we got some teams here that have won a lot of titles. And I was went back and I saw that teams like Milwaukee King, Milwaukee Vincent, and old school Milwaukee Lincoln won 5 state titles each. Which is pretty cool. And I see here that Milwaukee Washington won 4 state titles.
Right.
So we're no strangers to representing in the tournament. It's just that lately, we
It's
haven't
been
been
so
getting it
long.
done. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm ready to see I'm ready to see the city take the state back over.
Milwaukee City Conference basketball got to step it back up. Yeah, we did. The city used to dominate, and we haven't had a city title, a city school win a title, and I want to say since like 2000. It's been a long time. It's
It's been a
early
while.
2000s. I think maybe King or Vincent's last run when they had those runs that those schools had. So, there's a lot of parity in high school sports right now. There's a lot of the talent is spread out. And so I'm actually looking to bring some of the area coaches in. I know that they're all pretty busy. I know Rick Muhammad, who was initially supposed to be part of the show, but he's coaching. So that's why he hasn't been on. So we still have yet to bring him on and give a breakdown of area basketball and what's going on. But give the youngsters their props, man. Give them respect. Give them
Yeah,
ups for doing something positive and trying to compete. I just like to see our sports get back on to the level that they once were. I hate to see our kids getting the short end of the stick, and I feel like a lot of times because of some of the issues that we have in Milwaukee as a city and as a community, our kids suffer for them and not being prepared or developed athletically for me is one of those things. So it's one of a lot of individuals who are coaching sports. I give them credit because they sacrifice their time, but a lot of them don't understand the concept of player development, and
right.
so You got to understand player development, character development, stuff like that, and to build a total athlete, not just a kid who can run around or who's fast or who can jump. I think you got to understand when you're talking about sports and youth development, you're preparing someone for the rest of their lives. So they're you want them to grow up and be a good citizen. And I say that, and
Right.
people say, "Well, Kev, you are one." I don't advocate for the affable Negro. I'm not saying make him smiley, happy, giggle, giggle, smile. I'm saying help him to understand accountability. Him or her, help him to understand accountability and preparation, and execution and assessment, self-assessment, and learning. What have I learned? What did I learn from each loss I took? What did I learn from each win that I had? That's what sports is about. That's why
Right.
it's so important to our youngsters. That's why it's so important to us. I know a lot of us pro this and pro that and pro. The best thing that you could ever have as a parent is something that helps develop your child's character. That's really what it's all about. You just want your child to have a good moral compass and some strong character and and have some integrity, man. So if you got a kid playing sports, make sure that they understand that part of it. It's okay to say, well, maybe if you're really good, one day you can go to another level, but teach them the part about integrity and accountability and dedication and loyalty and responsibility that you normally get with sports. Okay. I just want
That's
y'all
right.
to know that. What else we got? I think that's it for this week. We're coming up, Tank, where it's all about the NBA. So both of us, well, we got March Madness, so we got some college brackets and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I haven't really sat down and picked a team that I felt like was gonna go through this thing, but I'm going to. I've been keeping my eye. I don't know which one. I've been keeping my eye on these teams. So we're gonna have some fun with that as the NCAA tournament. And like I said, the NBA is getting down to the wire.
Yes,
So
it is.
it's about to be, playoff time, and then it's gonna be time to compete for the cup, as they say, for the ship, as my son says. And we got a lot of stuff coming up with the high school basketball. I would really like to
Right.
get some youth from some of these better programs, some of these coaches from these places to represent, come
Right.
in and give their kids some props. Something I'm working on, so we might be able to do that as well. I will be back tomorrow with Outlaw Radio, and I'll have Armando Duckworth, who is a brother who's doing big things in the community right now. He'll be with us tomorrow night for Outlaw Radio, and then I'll do Outlaw Nation. I had a great time with Outlaw Nation last
Yeah.
Thursday. It was fun. It was a great conversation that I was having with the supporters of Outlaw Radio. And the funny part is, it ended up being 2 hours. And I thought about it like I really just sat there and talked to myself for 2 hours, right? Like, so, like, Kev might be a little weird. He might be, right? Like, never know. Because I
Hey,
had so much fun that I'm gonna do it again this week. So, tune in
that's
for
cool,
Outlaw
man.
Nation, man. And it's just about
That's
whatever we
cool.
want to talk about, whatever we think is pertinent. And I know Outlaw Radio can get serious sometimes. That's why we throw the sports in, and then Outlaw Radio will be intense, and we'll be talking about something that's really specific to our people. And I feel like
Right.
sometimes you just gotta have a good time and laugh, because there's some funny shit. There's some of these stories are ridiculous as well. So yeah, we got to check
Man.
that out. But I'm on you now, so now I got to check. I got to watch, because now every time I see your man Grayson Allen, I'm gonna be saying, now I got to see if this dude is really
Goon.
right. Like, I got to see if this is, because this is your goon. Um, you got anybody? You got
Hey,
any appearances coming up? Anybody you want to shout out to talk about the book? Anything? Any developments you want to put out there?
oh man, just want to shout everybody out for tuning in, man. Just once again, another shameless plug for the book. It's doing well. Once again, a shout out to everybody that's bought it and supporting it. Thanks for the great reviews. Uh, like I said, the end game is we're trying to get this book into some libraries, in the school libraries. We want to get this book into the hands of more student athletes as well. So thank you very much for supporting it. Fullback on Amazon and Lulu. Other than that, man, I'm looking forward to the end of the month. I want to start doing all season training with some of the area running backs and some of the area skilled players. Uh, yeah, hopefully for first week of April I can get that going. And like I say, free of charge. All I do is ask the kids to meet me somewhere, and we put the work in. You know. Other than that, man, just
Whatever you
just
decide,
everybody.
let me know so I can promote it in the People's News Network. I'm still looking for sponsors. People want sponsorships. You want to promote your businesses. A lot of stuff going on in there. I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead, brother.
Oh no, I was just finishing up. Just wanted to give a shout out to everybody. Shout out to the Marshall coaching staff, and that's it, man. Enjoy myself tonight.
All right, man. As usual, it's a pleasure to have you here. And shout out to any and everybody who supports what we do, man. Things will get greater later. I like I said, I think it's important that we understand sports and race relations are very closely tied together in this country. Race is one of those things that touches everything in our country. So if you're saying there's something that's in this country that's not affected by race, I tend to think that you're pretty much an idiot. But I feel like it doesn't have to be bad. I don't think, because I'm one of those people who thinks that the conversation in regards to race has to be had. I don't feel like we should run away from it. I think, as a matter of fact, most of the crimes that have been committed in this country have been committed when we try to deny or distract people from seeing the truth or knowing the truth or understanding the truth. Because once you understand it, then you can do something about it, right? Like, you can't really get rid of a problem with something if you never deal with it. So that's what the People's Network is all about. That's what Outlaw Radio is all about. That's what the Big Black Sports Show is all about. Everybody's talking about us, but nobody's talking to us, man. You are either part of the problem or part of the solution. You have to understand that. And every time you look out the window and say, it doesn't affect me, it doesn't affect my family, it doesn't affect my home, it's going to inch ever so closely to your doorstep until it ultimately may land on you. So that leads me to say, if your criticism of the black community outweighs your contribution to it, you're most definitely and absolutely a coon, right? And you need to tune in tomorrow night for Outlaw Radio and get yourself some straightening. Peace and love, man. I'll holla. Capital Drive.
These niggas wishy-washy, snitchy like they got you. I remember back to days on money in my pocket. Now I'm styling like a rich nigga's closet. Now hear my Samuel Hill voice. What's in your wallet? I got that vibe.